everyone. I'm the Peculiar Pisces and welcome to my channel. Today is Friday, December 5th, 2025, and I'm back with Flosstube video number 67. I'm going to start out with, I have a little bit of work news. The girl that I've worked a couple of her Fridays, she has put in her notice. And so my job has given me the choice of either working 5 days a week or switching my day off to a different day so that I would work on Fridays. And they gave me the option of Wednesday. And my husband and I talked about it and decided that we're just going to switch my day off because it's best that I have at least one day off to take care of any appointments or run the errands and stuff like that. So I will be switching from Friday to Wednesday recordings, but I don't yet know when that's going to happen. I don't know when she put in her notice for. So that is an update that will be affecting the channel overall. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and start with it. Then I wanted to tell you, this was a bad stitchy week for me. This week just went insane starting from Saturday. So Friday, I filmed my YouTube video. And as you know, I was down in the basement because the kids were off last week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. And everything was perfectly fine on Friday. So Saturday, I had some time and I was like, you know what? I am going to go down and grab the Lady of the Thread, the lavender and lace, and put a little bit of extra work on it before the end of the month ends and just to see where I get. And so I went downstairs, and as soon as I walked into the basement area, I could hear what sounded like running water. And my first thought was, oh no, one of the pipes in the bathroom broke because there's a bathroom down there with a shower, a toilet, and a sink. So I start running back the hallway. And when I get there, I realize because the bathroom's on the right and the water tank, heater, air conditioning unit, all that stuff is on the left. When I got there, I realized it wasn't where the bathroom was, it was where the water tank was. So I go in to find it leaking. And of course, this was 7 o'clock Saturday night. So I text my husband that there's an emergency in the basement. And, he comes running down and he starts Googling and YouTubing to try to figure out if, something has come unconnected, if it's a big leak, like what we have to try to do to fix it. Like, can he fix it himself or do we need to hire somebody? So we ended up shutting the water off for the night. And, well, not the water, period. We just shut off the hot water. So we had cold running water. And then Sunday, we went to Home Depot to purchase a new water heater and see about getting it installed. And so Sunday, it was spitting a little bit of snow. Monday, my husband decided to stay home to help watch over and talk with the installation guy as he did whatever he was doing. There was a little bit of snow, but there was no 2 hour delay, no day off on Monday. So my husband and I drove the kids in his vehicle because he has a 4-wheel drive just in case it was icy. We drove them to school on Monday and then came back. And so Monday, I didn't get to work on any of my projects, but I did work on my diamond art project while I was waiting around for the installation guy to come. I knew that if I picked up one of my cross stitches, my husband would start asking me to do like a million things. But if I did something else that didn't look complicated, that he would just leave me alone. I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's my husband is weird and he likes to interrupt me at the most inopportune times. So I was like, I'd rather do something that I feel like I can be interrupted then so Tuesday, I did get to work on some things, but I also had to run errands on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the kids had a snow day, as did my husband. Thursday, the kids also had a snow day, but my husband only had a 2 hour delay. And so that brings us to Friday. So it's like I did get to stitch on each project, but not for any length of time. But here we are. So I will start with the Lady of the Thread that I finished up to show you where I ended up on that one. So here's the Lady of the Thread by Lavender and Lace. I am doing a purple DMC conversion because I felt like her dress just got lost in the greenery and the plants that are in through here. So here is my progress on it. I did stitch a little more down into the dress, but then I jumped over here and started working in the flowers. Just like I said that I was going to do for whenever I pick this up in March next year. So like I said, I worked on it on the 29th and I got to put in 2 hours, 19 minutes and 27 seconds. So that brought my total time to 49 hours, 52 minutes and 7 seconds. And during those 2 hours, I put in 456 stitches. And it's brought my total stitch count to 6,362 out of 17,306. And I'm now at 36.76%. So I'm getting closer to the halfway point. Now, as I said, whenever I pick this up in March, I want to finish the greenery here and probably stitch down enough to get to the greenery that's over here. And then I'm going to jump back onto the wreath on both sides and bring it down to the edges of her dress and then jump back into and finish the dress. That's my plan going forward for 2026. And I'll probably go over that again when I do my whip parade in a couple of weeks. I know I'm going to do it while the kids are doing winter break. I'm just not sure when, probably the second week of winter break, but before January happens. And that will be a big long one because I'm going to go over all of the projects that I worked on this year, all of the finishes, which I only had 2 finishes this year, and my plans for 2026. Okay, so now that brings us to project 1 for the month of December. And let me tell you, I had a doozy of a time even working on this one. So I can put this book away now. This book is finished and retiring. Oh, my mom sometimes watches my videos and she asked what this was. This is our desktop computer. It is a gaming computer. So it's all, cool lighting up, the keyboard lights up, the mouse lights up. So this is the desktop computer. I'm just filming on my laptop because there's a window right here that gets great light. This is the best place I've found for recording my videos. Okay, so project number 1 for the month of December is Teresa Wentzler's Woodland Faerie. And previously I had scanned this and I was working on a PDF on my laptop and just highlighting the areas as I went along. Basically what I would do if it were paper. Well, I got to the point when I was working on it on Tuesday that I would click the mouse and highlight and nothing was happening. And then it would like reset and like it was just a problem. And I was like, okay, then I noticed that there was a pop-up saying that the PDF was large and that I could compress the file. But when I tried to compress it, then it's like, well, you need to buy a version of Adobe Acrobat instead of the free version. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that. So our printer finally has ink. So I scanned and printed copies of the whole pattern. Then I had to highlight up to where I was to figure out where to go. So I only got to do 29 minutes of actual stitching when I worked on it. So here's my progress. The little bit of work that I did was up here in the wing. Not quite sure where, but I know that it was in the wing. I maybe did a total of 25 stitches, maybe, if that. And I don't know if you can tell, hopefully maybe with this window you can, but there's a blending filament all through the wing. So I don't know if it's catching any of the light or not. I'll see and read through. So I forgot to mention, this is fabric Flair. It is flower champagne. And I did click that I wanted it to be opalescent or have the glitter or whatever, but the glitter is so very, very subtle in it that I don't even think that it's worth mentioning. It's underwhelming on the glitter aspect, and I don't know if it's just this fabric or if it's because it's fabric Flair and how they do the glitter or whatever the enhancement is, but yeah. So this one I put in 26 minutes, not 29, 26 minutes and 12 seconds. And it's brought my total time to 32 hours, 23 minutes, and 55 seconds. So I even spent time scanning it, trying to bring it into PC Stitch to see if I could convert it to an electronic pattern. I tried to see if I could bring it into Floss Cross to try to convert it, but it wouldn't read the symbols. It was just making them a color and it was just not working. And so I finally stopped fooling around with it and just sat down and highlighted like my life depended on it. So it will be a fully paper copy going forward, which is a little sad because it was so easy to just have it on my computer and highlight the areas that I was. Okay, project number 2, I also got to work on, no, I didn't get to work on this until Thursday, and it was the only one that I actually did work on that day. So project number 2 is Loose Thread Stitchery's Orchid Blackwork pattern. Said that totally backwards. And the last time that you saw it, because I'm a middle out stitcher, so I started somewhere here is the middle. And so I had done like this section and I was working on doing the back stitch the last time that I had touched it. So here is my progress. I finished out the back stitch in this section, and then I moved over to the next page and started. I don't know how well you can see. Okay, And when I worked on this one, I did put in 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 30 seconds. And that has brought my total time on this to 11 hours, 1 minute, and 17 seconds. That is 18 count Aida that I hand dyed myself in a Come Dye With Me video. And then project number 3 is Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Amy Brown. And this is called Faerie, Risqué, and this is the no background version. And I am doing this on 22 count Hardinger that I hand dyed myself. So I'm going to shift a little bit. Ouch. Clumsy, clumsy me. Okay. See if I can get a little closer. Okay. Here is where I am. I finished out the square that was here and then started working in this square, and next time I pick it up I'll be finishing the square and then jumping back over here and stitching over. Oh, I forgot to mention, I am doing a blue conversion that I did myself. I just did basically like a 1-to-1 color swap. I went to the store, pulled the color that it called for, and then found a blue that I thought was in the same hue, shade approximation. And project 3. So I got to work on this also on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, I worked on project 1, project 3, and project 4. And then I got to work on project 2 on Thursday. So that's how scattered my stitching week has been. So it was 43 minutes, 2 seconds. Yeah, 43 minutes and 2 seconds is what I got to work on it. And that has brought my total time to 141 hours, 31 minutes, and 52 seconds. Now, this is my oldest WIP to date. And I started it last year. When I started this Flosstube channel, or converted my YouTube channel to Flosstube, because I just did random videos before. But when I fully made it a Flosstube channel, I started this last year. And I came in clean with no WIPs left behind. Like, the only thing is like, I know in my head there's a couple of things that I've started, but I haven't seen them in years, and at this point maybe decades, so I don't even know where it is, and so it's gone forever kind of thing. So anyway, this is my oldest WIP to date, which I started in January of last year, and of those 43 minutes, I got to do 95 stitches, so almost 100. So it's brought my total stitch count to 14,417 out of 74,797, and I'm at 19.27%. So hopefully this week will be a much more, well, not this week, next week will be a much more productive week for me stitching wise. And then project number 4. Where is project 4? Here's project 4. Project number 4 is my last new start of the year. And the only reason that it's a new start is because I finished the project that was in this slot last, what was it, September? I can't remember. But I finished this number 4 project. So that's why I had a new start this late in the year. Okay, so I am working on Dimensions Dolphins Domain, and I am using the kit provided fabric. I did not dye it. I left it as it is. It's already a blue. It says blue Aida, but it's a light blue, almost like a light robin's egg or seafoam green kind of blue. So yeah, I'm doing this to be a companion piece to go with the very first cross stitch that I ever did that's framed. It was up at my grandparents' house. I think my mom has it now, or maybe my grandma still has it, but they have it. And eventually it will get back to me, and I will probably put it on the cross stitch wall. And I want to hang these two pictures together. So the first picture is 3 dolphins, a dolphin family. And so, like, I was living with my grandparents at the time, and so it was just the 3 of us. So, like, that was my family. And now this one has 4 dolphins, and I am a family of 4. It's me, my husband, and my 2 children. So it's like my family and how my family has grown or changed. So this one is definitely a sentimental piece for me. So here is my start. Wasn't very much of a start. Like I said, I only got to work on it an hour and some minutes. But yeah. So this is my start. These are 3 strands. It's 2 strands of one color and 1 strand of the other color. And these are half stitches. The only full cross stitches that I've done is this sort of gray. There's a little bit here, and then it jumped up here. These gray stitches. So yeah. And okay, yeah. So my official start date on this is December 2nd, 2025. And I put in, it was an hour and 4 minutes and 55 seconds, not an hour 17. That was the previous one. I was getting those confused. So I don't have a stitch count on that because this is on a paper pattern, and I'm not going to bother trying to pull it into Pattern Keeper. I just, sometimes that's beneficial, but other times it's just more frustrating for me. And so I'm just going to work on paper. So that is my 4 regular projects. And then I have barely touched that kit cross stitch of the pink cherry blossoms. I think I've maybe put in 1 strand since the time that I filmed. This is what I'm talking about. So I will just show, because I did put in a strand, but I haven't really touched it since the last time that I showed it. So it's pretty much the same. And then my diamond painting. Here's the picture. It is a Doctor Who diamond painting. I got this off of AliExpress ages ago. I either got it in 2019 as like probably like a Christmas present, or I got it after lockdown happened with COVID. So the last time you saw it, I was still working in this section, which is why this is still here. So I finished out this section. and I jumped over here and started working. I'm about halfway, I'd say. So it is coming along. I will jump over here next and then come up here and keep doing that until I finally get halfway. So I guess you could say I'm a quarter of the way finished. I just have to be very careful how I put it away so that some of the diamonds don't fall off, because I noticed that was starting to happen. Of course, it could be that this is so old that it's finally losing its sticky. So that is my progress on everything. Oh, the other thing that I worked on was, this is the other glasses chain that I made for myself. I had the yellow ends, and when I went down into the basement to look at all my beads and stuff, there was a piece that my mom had made, but it was on a cord, and it was like a lariat, and it was knotted. She went through a knotted beading phase, pearls, beads, you name it. So I asked her if she minded if I tore it apart so that I could use the beads, and she absolutely gave me the okay. So she had these little teeny tiny red ones, and she had these little teeny tiny yellow ones, and then she had these red and yellow beads in this smaller size and then in this bigger size. And I added these clear and yellow ones. They're just glass, but it was marketed as yellow tiger's eye, which I thought was funny. I had this and then a green one of the same thing. So I started trying to put it together, and I didn't have enough beads to make the full long chain. So I had to go to the craft store. Woe is me, I had to go to the craft store. That was when I bought some of my threads in the purple colors for the Lady of the Thread, and then I ran out of 2 colors in the Dutch Beauty sampler that I had to get 2 new skeins. So at the craft store, I bought a strand of these yellow beads in this medium size, and all of that strand was the same size, and it actually had 2 strands on the one package. And then I bought a red strand, and that had 4 different sized red beads. And so it was this next biggest size red, this next biggest size red, this next, and this next. So with those, I was able to finish out the red and yellow strand. So next, I need to work on the Ruby Zoisite one with the watermelon tourmaline. I got a black faceted bead to go with that because none of the greens there were even close to the right shade of the zoisite and the ruby and zoisite. And the red beads that I found weren't the right shade as the ruby. The only red shade was like this red, and this is way too red. And next to it, it doesn't bring out the color of the ruby; it actually washes it out. So I did not want that. So I ended up with black, and I figured that'll be okay. And I got a turquoise color strand of faceted beads to go with some of those turquoise beads. Then my youngest was with me, so she's like, "Can I have a strand of beads?" And I was like, sure. So she picked out a little pre-made strand that I just put onto a beading wire and put a magnetic clasp on for her, and she loves it. I don't know where it's at right now, or else I'd show you. And then, but also she's like, since you got me a strand of beads, can we get my sister a strand of beads? And I was like, you really think that she would want some beads? She goes, well, look, here's a duck strand. And right now, my oldest is in a duck phase. So I got her a pre-made ducky strand. She wants hers on a stretchy bracelet cord, so I need to find my stretchy bracelet cord and see if I can find the is it the E600 glue? It's one of those tougher glues that you just put a little dot on the knot to make sure that it doesn't come undone. So eventually I will make my oldest a ducky stretchy bracelet. But she sits here and plays with it every night. Like she fidgets with it. I mean, like I'll come through and see her doing like this. And I'm like, okay, okay. So, all right. So that has been everything. Oh, I don't know if you can tell from here, but we now have fish in the fish tank. I don't know if you've ever noticed before, but that has been an empty fish tank since we bought it. So I had a beta, and then I got my beta a snail tank mate to, help clean the glass and whatnot. So it was Blue and Goldilocks. And then, because I loved Blue and Goldilocks so much, I got two more betas and two more snails. And so Blue and Goldilocks were in a small tank by themselves. And the other two, I got a big 10-gallon tank and split it in half with a divider and put the other two each in their own 5 gallons. And so it was magenta was one of the fish. So we had blue and magenta, like from Blue's Clues. And then we had shining armor, which is one of the characters on My Little Ponies. So, yeah, you can tell how old my kids were at the time that all the fish got names. So, the snail friends for Blue and Magenta, no, not Blue and Magenta, for Magenta and Shining Armor died randomly, although they were from the same pet store, so that could have been it. Then I got them more snails. And after a couple of months, like I have a hard time with snails. So then over time, Blue unfortunately passed away. And within a week, Magenta passed away. And then Shining Armor was the holdout for a while, and he lived to be like almost 2 years old. And I've been through a plethora of snails, but I finally have one. It's called a like a black narite racing snail, and its name was Horatio. And so it was the holdout, and I was pretty much putting Horatio between the three tanks then as the algae built up. And so back with Blue and Goldilocks, Goldilocks was a golden Inca snail. And those snails can actually be pregnant for like 6 or 7 months before laying eggs that are like already fertilized. Like you can get them from the pet store already fertilized. And so we had Goldilocks about 6 or 7 months, and then Goldilocks started laying eggs. And so there's no way to know if the eggs are fertilized or not. And so I removed them from the tank because the beta was jumping up to the top of the tank and having himself a little snack. So I removed them from the tank, and I got this 30-gallon tank to put the snail eggs in, and I did everything that you're supposed to do for the snail eggs, thinking that if they hatched, there was going to be maybe hundreds of baby snails. Well, fortunately, the eggs were unfertilized. And so they didn't hatch, and I disposed of them properly. And I had planted the tank in preparation for the snails and whatnot. So I had a well planted tank that had been well and truly cycled and, had been ready for fish, but we just never put any in. So, because all of the betas were gone now, and I just had the 3 tanks that I was putting Horatio in due to algae, I was like, let me start decommissioning these other 2 tanks. They're smaller tanks. I don't really need them. And so I took some of the healthy plants from those and replanted that one. I restarted the cycling process again. And then my youngest is like, can we get glowfish? So we have glowfish. Uh, I have a purple galactic glowfish shark that right now the shark's name is Sharky McSharkington. Although sometimes I wonder if the shark's name should be Sharkeisha because that sounds funny too. So most of the time, though, the shark gets called Sharky McSharkington. And then she picked out the tetras, the glowfish tetras. Now, she listened to me saying that I wanted the shark, and she listened to me saying that you needed to buy fish in odd numbers because fish have a schooling/pecking order. And only she didn't realize that I meant you had to buy odd numbers of the same kind of fish. So they bought 3 fish, 2 of the same kind, and then my shark. So I was like, okay, well, we need to get 3 more fish so that we can start having a proper school, although it's a small school. And so she had come home with my purple shark and the purple tetra and the blue tetra. And then the next day, she and I went back to the store and got the orange tetra, the green tetra, and the red tetra. So the only one that we're missing is the pink one. And now she wants the pink one, but I told her that would give us 6 of that fish. So we have to get 2 instead of 1. And I asked her which color she'd rather have a duplicate of. And so she wants to get the pink and the blue. So we have Bluey, the blue fish. We have Mountain Dew, the green fish. I suggested it as a joke, and she's like, yes, because he will zip around the tank like he's hopped up on caffeine. So we have Bluey and Mountain Dew. And then my husband named the orange one, named it OJ. Now, OJ has a Nemo fin. And I don't know if it's like Nemo's where it will not become any bigger or if it was, damaged and it's going to grow back. Because I Googled that and apparently fish fins do grow back. You just need to make sure that the water is clean and healthy and, all the stuff of keeping a fish tank. So, beyond those 3 fish that we bought, there are 2 that still don't have a name, the red one and the purple one. And so we've told my oldest one to go ahead and name the fish. I'm honestly expecting an anime name, but we'll see what she comes up with. So we have the 5 tetras, the 1 shark, and we had the 1 snail Horatio, and so we bought 3 more snails because it's a 30-gallon tank and it's, recommended 1 snail for every 5, which we're still a little under, but, I want the snails to have food. I want them to have space to roam. So of the 3, they're all the black narrate racing snails, and the 3 were bought at the same pet store. And we got 1 bigger one, and it has a solid black foot, whereas the one that we had, and then the 2 smaller ones that are roughly the same size, they have a tannish brown foot. The foot is the side that sticks to the glass. It's called a foot. So, the one with the Blackfoot, his name is Schubert. Of course, I don't know if Schubert is male or female because it is impossible to know what your snails are. Horatio is actually a girl, but Horatio had Horatio's name before we found out that Horatio was a girl. And the only reason I know that is because Horatio laid eggs all over the one tank that Horatio was in by themselves. And nerites need brackish water in order to breed, but like Horatio is alone, and I don't know if nerites are asexual and would switch back and forth, so I don't know if they would have fertilized their own eggs, but they need brackish water, and we don't have brackish water. So whether or not they lay eggs, they will never ever hatch. So anyway, we've got Schubert and then the two smaller ones that are roughly about the same size, and I call them the twins because I don't know which one is which, and they're Philly and Killy, the twins from The Hobbit. So, yeah, so we have fish, and I had to go out and buy the special LED lamp that has the blue and the purple options so that the fish actually glow. So anyway, that has been my update. It has been a crazy week. I hardly got to do any stitching, but I did get to touch each project at least once during the week. And so I will see everyone next week. I don't know when they're going to switch my work. So until they do, we're going to plan for Fridays. And if they switch me to Wednesday, like next week, then I probably won't film a video the week that they first switch me because I'll have done one the Friday before. So I'll wait until the following week, but hopefully I'll know when so I can say, hey, so next week it's not going to be. And then winter break is coming up. And so once winter break starts and the kids are home full time, I will switch to using the Tiny Decisions app to pick my projects for the day and just try to work on that one project that day. Um, so that's the only difference in how I'm going to be doing things. So, all right. I will see everyone hopefully next Friday. If not, maybe the following Wednesday. So, like I said, I don't know how soon they're going to be switching me. And I don't know if it's going to be Wednesday. They suggested that. So we'll see. Anyway, I will let you all go because it has been 42 minutes and most of it has just been me rambling incessantly. So you are free to go do as you normally do. Have fun stitching, and I will see you guys next week.